And now, from approximately coast to coast, it's the Bob and Ray Radio Show.
Thanks, Paul. How are you today?
Pretty good, thank you,
Good.
Ray. Bob, I'm sorry.
Looked as if you were in very good shape when you came in a few minutes ago.
It's nice of you to say
And
that.
if you surprised, you look very natty today, too.
Well, I got a new suit, and it's double-breasted, as you can see, and that
Yeah.
takes pounds off your waist.
I guess it does.
Yeah.
I don't favor that style myself, but
What is the style you favor, anyway?
I don't know what you'd call it. I don't think there's a name to it, but
Kind of gay 90s?
kind of like that.
Yeah.
But let's get to our first feature here today, because we have understandable pride in presenting it. The public service feature Speaking Out portion of the program, where we urge all of you at home to call in with your opinion on some controversial issue of the day.
That's right, friends. It's a wonderful thing we're doing here, and I'm sure we could have won all kinds of national awards for it, but we're holding back to apply for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, now, this is the first time I heard you were planning to do that, Ray. I think, frankly, it's a ridiculous idea.
Well, I don't know why. We've got big money tied up in broadcasting equipment here. and
Yeah.
We're offering to let all the crackpots use it to spout off.
Yes.
I think that that shows we got a lot of nerve.
Well, I'm not sure that's all it takes to win the Nobel Peace Prize. However, we can't discuss it now because our first call is coming in from one of those crackpots you mentioned. Hello, would you give us your name, please?
Yes, my name is 522 West Elm Street, Lafferty.
That's a very unusual name, and I bet there's a story that goes with it, huh?
No, not really. My mom just had a poor memory, and she figured that if she named me after our street address, then she'd have a better chance of remembering who I was, or where we lived, or both.
Well, I guess that was a good idea.
Well, no, it wasn't. When I was 2 months old, we moved.
Oh, that's too bad, but probably has no bearing on the opinion you called in to give, so go
Probably
right ahead.
right. Okay, the opinion I want to give is that the phone company should set up area codes for different parts of the country. Now, see, that way people could call long distance without going through the operator.
Well, I don't see how that differs from
Well,
the
wait,
system.
just don't be in such a hurry to condemn this idea. You haven't
Oh.
heard the whole thing. You see,
Okay.
I found there are no local phone exchanges that have a 1 or a 0 as the second digit. So you could use those for long distance. Like New York City could be 506, Detroit could be 817, and like that.
Well, you know, as it happens, New York is 212 and Detroit is 313.
Well, I don't care what numbers they pick. It's just the basic idea I wanted to tell you about.
Uh-huh. And you claim you thought of it yourself, do you?
No, see, I'm at a party, and we were just clowning around when another guy thought of it,
Oh.
but he decided I should be the one to call and tell you.
Well, I'm sure he'll have something to say to you after you hang up. While you do that, I'm going to take another call. Your name, please?
I'm Mrs. Hugo Ormsby of Enid, Oklahoma. It's my opinion that my neighbors, the Hunsingers, shouldn't let their cat run loose.
Well, that's not really an opinion on public affairs, ma'am.
Well, I don't believe you'll ever find a cat that has more public affairs than Fluffy. I think you're just siding with the Hunsingers on this thing.
No, I'm not even acquainted with the Hunsingers.
Well, they're the people next door who let their cat run loose.
I know.
Now, you're going to do something about it, or aren't you?
No, I think I've done all I can, so I'll just move along to one final quick question. Your name, please.
I'm Shorty Kavir. I live around the corner from that place they closed down last week.
I think I read about that. What do you want to discuss?
It's my opinion that the Indiana Pacers basketball team should be moved to Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Oh, why?
Well, the guys play like they're half asleep sometimes, and I just thought it might wake them up if they'd move someplace where there's always a lot of crisp, cold air.
Well, that's your idea for turning the Pacers into a winner, is it?
No, my idea for turning them into a winner is to trade the whole team for Larry Bird, but I didn't want to make a suggestion that would be considered impractical.
Well, I agree. Moving the franchise to Cheyenne's a lot more realistic. Thanks for taking that clear-headed approach, and I hope the rest of you listeners may do that next time when we'll invite you to take part in another session of Speaking Out.
And it's time now for another story of drama and suspense. Another tale well designed to keep you in anxiety. And here, once again, to set the stage for today's yarn, is the widely known adventurer and world traveler, Commander Neville Putney. Commander, I presume that you've reached into your amazing file of stories and brought forth another tale. well designed to keep our listeners in anxiety.
Yes, indeed I have, young man. Our story today takes place aboard a crack passenger train rocketing its way across the western United States. In the coaches and private compartments, the people were enjoying the scenery, and all appeared to be going well. But in the cabin of the locomotive, the engineer turned to the fireman with panic written on his face.
George, something's gone wrong with the air brake system.
Gad, Emil, you're right. We must be doing at least 75. Cut the steam and let her coast to a stop.
It's no good, George. Don't you realize where we are?
I'd almost forgotten we're almost to Flagstaff Hill.
Right, George. We're going to go rocketing down the steepest grade in the Rockies at full speed.
Gad, Emil, the hairpin curve is at the bottom. We can't take that curve at this speed. We'll jump the track for sure.
Exactly what's going to happen. George, there's no way we can slow down. We'll be doing at least 100 by the time we hit hairpin curve.
Gad, Emil, the lives of over 200 passengers are in our hands, and we can't do a thing.
Baggage will probably be all smashed, too. I'd blow an SOS on the whistle if I thought it'd do any good, but there isn't time. We're less than half a mile from Flagstaff Hill right now.
Gad, Emil, it's been nice working with you.
Nice working with you, George. I guess it's the way for a railroader to go. Highballing down the hill with a hand on the throttle. Goodbye, George. Good luck.
Oh, there. How about that for a story of drama and suspense?
Oh, hey, that was a real thriller, Commander. But you can't just leave us in anxiety that way. Did George and Emil get out of the accident okay?
Well, oddly enough, there wasn't any accident at all.
But they were going down Flagstaff Hill with the brakes gone.
No, George and Emil were mistaken about that. They were thinking this was a westbound run. Actually, they were going east. That meant they had to go up Flagstaff Hill rather than down. Naturally, when the train reached that steep upgrade, it stopped of its own accord. George and Emil took it on into Denver at reduced speed and had the brakes fixed there.
Well, in other words, this wasn't a story of drama and intrigue at all, just another one of your lead balloons.
You ruddy young bounder, I've warned you time and again about voicing your opinions on the amazing stories I take from my files.
The only amazing thing about your file is that so many dull stories could be collected in one place.
If you're in my regiment, you'd do time in the guardhouse for a statement like that.
Okay, but you sure laid an egg today.
Cheeky young blighter. Now read the announcement.
Be sure to join us next time when Commander Putney will again reach into his amazing file and draw forth another tale well designed to keep us in anxiety. Oh, hey, now it's time to gain some more valuable tips for you home handymen as we pay another of our regular visits to the basement workshop of Fred Falvey, the do-it-yourselfer. Fred, I see that you've added an early American touch to the workshop since we were here last. I really like that old-fashioned gas lamp on the wall over there.
Well, installing that was really a do-it-yourself project to save money, Ray. The gas main running by the house sprang a leak recently, so I just bought a few lengths of number 5 metal pipe and then used some simple tools to tunnel out to the gas main and plug into the leak.
Well, that's certainly an original idea that I'm sure all our beloved friends of the radio audience will want to remember. The lamp you've attached to the wall there is giving off a very cheerful flame. And I suppose there's no danger at all in letting that leak in the gas line go unrepaired.
Oh, I suppose there's always a chance it could get bigger or cause a violent explosion, but in the meantime, I'm saving almost $3 a month on my utility bill.
So there you have it, dear listeners, just one more example of better living by doing it yourself. Fred, I know our home handymen are all eager to hear about the workshop project that you've chosen to describe to them this week.
This week, Ray, I've chosen to describe a very practical workshop project to all the home handymen listening in. I'm sure they're well aware of how much it costs these days to call in a plumber to fix a dripping faucet.
Yes, we all know it costs a great deal. So today, you're going to demonstrate how to tighten the faucet with an ordinary household wrench. Is that right, Fred?
Today, I'm going to demonstrate how to make a faucet washer with an ordinary household hammer and saw.
Well, that should save us lots of money. How's that go?
Well, you need a metal washer in there to stop the dripping. pipe fittings get loose and corroded over the years. Luckily, a very serviceable washer can be made by cutting a hole in the center of a 25-cent piece.
You mean an ordinary quarter like we carry in our pocket to get from the bank?
Exactly. I found that quarters are readily available at almost any full-service bank. And unlike many of the workshop supplies we have to go out and buy, there is no sales tax or retail markup of any kind on common coins.
Well, that's money saved right there. But as I recall, Fred, a washer normally has a hole in the center and a quarter doesn't. How do you get around that problem?
Well, that's the do-it-yourself project I'm going to demonstrate right now. Now, you see, Ray, I've laid a quarter out perfectly flat here on the workbench. I'm going to make the necessary hole by pounding a nail through the center and then smoothing the edges with an ordinary rat-tail file.
Well, I'm anxious to see exactly how that's done. I assume it's not illegal to deface money in that way.
Well, actually, I think it may be against the law, Ray, but I've never heard of federal agents coming into a workshop and arresting a handyman for doing it.
Well, I guess it's okay then. So go ahead.
Really quite simple. I just hole an ordinary roofing nail in an upright position over the center of the quarter here, and then I'll strike the head of the nail with this number 4 ball-peen hammer.
Ow! Gee, that looks...
Wait a minute.
It takes quite a bit of hammering to get that through the quarter, Fred. Sure bent the nail pretty badly.
Well, roofing nails are very inexpensive, so even if you have to use 3 or 4 of them to punch a hole in the quarter, you're still money ahead.
I see. And then you say you smooth down the hole there with a file?
A rat-tail file is what it has to be inside that small nail hole, but I won't take time to demonstrate the filing now. It usually requires several hours of work to enlarge the hole enough and make sure you keep it perfectly round.
But eventually... you do get a workable faucet washer.
Yes, of course, you may also have to file down the outside of the quarter to make it fit your plumbing, but I installed one of these in our kitchen sink almost a week ago, and it hasn't dripped at all since.
So, for just the price of a quarter, few nails, little effort, the high cost of a visit from the plumber has been avoided. And thus, fond listeners, we've witnessed one more example of how to live better by doing it yourself. Direct from the basement workshop of Fred Falvey, the do-it-yourselfer.
Come with us now as we return once again to Garish Summit and its endless story of intrigue among the socially prominent. There in stately splendor, far removed from the squalid village below, they fight their petty battles over power and money. As our drama continues, wealthy Agatha Murchfield is going over the books of the family-owned lead mining company when her spineless son Rodney enters. Agatha looks up and speaks.
Rodney, it appears that you may have been right all along in accusing your shifty brother Caldwell of misdeeds. I feel that I owe you an apology.
I'm overwhelmed, Mother. You've never apologized to me for anything before.
Shut up, Rodney. Why must you always interrupt when I'm talking?
Sorry, Mother. Please continue.
I've just been reviewing the company books. Seems that Caldwell has written checks totaling several $1 million to a mysterious figure known only as Mr. Big.
Oh, that would be the underworld gambling czar, Harold W. Big. I have reason to believe that Caldwell was deeply in his debt.
Rodney, will you let me finish what I'm saying? Or do you plan to continue chirping in like this?
Oh, forgive me, Mother. I guess I'm just carried away with grief to hear about all the shame Caldwell has brought on the family.
Really? I thought you'd be delighted to know that I've sworn out a warrant for his arrest, which means I'll be reinstating you as president of Murchfield Lead.
Well, of course, that's wonderful news. I'm really overjoyed. With only a tinge of that grief I thought you'd want me to feel.
I really don't care how you feel, Rodney. I just want you to go to police headquarters and lend any assistance you can in helping to find Caldwell. I can't imagine where he's hiding from the law.
Ah, there you are, Master Caldwell. I'm sorry I took so long to respond, but it's been years since anyone has used this old bell pull in the attic to ring for the butler.
Well, that's okay, Wilfred. I just like to crouch up here under the eaves sometimes. It helps me think.
I understand, sir. And I presume another advantage of remaining here is that the police will soon arrive to search the rest of the house for you.
Oh, that doesn't enter into it at all. Talking to the fuzz doesn't bother me. I have nothing to hide.
Of course not, sir. Would you care to have me fetch a pillow so you won't have to hunker down behind that old birdcage on the bare floor?
No, what I'd like to have you do is pack a bag for me and then bring it to the bottom of the fire escape at midnight. I plan to take my vacation early, and I don't want to go through a long, tearful goodbye with Mother or anybody else.
Very good, sir. Will that be all?
No, just one other thing, Wilfred. Go over the whole house with a dust cloth. I've probably left a lot of fingerprints on things, and I hate to think what would happen if the cops ever found out who I really am.
Faith and begorra, I don't know what to make of this FBI report on young Caldwell Murchfield.
Me neither, Lieutenant. They say he's not in the computer file of any government agency, including the Census Bureau.
Faith and begorra. What about the Social Security number we got from his place of business?
The FBI says it was issued a few months ago to a John Doe. That's spelled D-O-E. Dog, Ocean, Easy.
Faith and begorra, that's a common enough spelling, and it gives us little to go on, lad.
That's right, Lieutenant. In fact, I say it gives us only one thing to go on.
Faith and begorra, and what might that be?
Well, it seems that the guy who's been calling himself Caldwell Murchfield is really someone else. Someone who's gone to a lot of trouble to keep his true identity from becoming known.
Can Caldwell succeed in getting away from his attic hiding place without detection? Can Wilfred be trusted to pack enough swim trunks in case Caldwell decides to vacation in Brazil? And what about the mysterious figure who claims to be a police lieutenant? Perhaps we'll learn more next time when we hear Agatha say,
Now that you mention it, I don't recall ever giving birth to more than one son.
That's in our next thrilling episode when we return again to Garish Summit. Well, today we're pleased to inaugurate a brand new Bob and Ray public service feature, Your Forum for Fitness. During this segment of the show, we'll be chatting with noted experts on diet, exercise, preventive medicine, things like that. Today, our first guest is a man whose research in the field of nutrition has produced some valuable health tips for all of us. He's Mr. Bertram Fenright. Or is it Dr. Fenright?
No, it's Mister. Years ago, I decided there were already enough quack doctors around trying to make a fast buck off sick people, so I chose to go into the more noble field of nutrition. Now, I wanted to spend my life helping people achieve good health through proper diet.
Well, it's wonderful to have a guest expert who's also a humanitarian like yourself, sir.
Well, I don't mean to blow my own horn, but I saw a large area in the nutrition field where my tireless efforts were needed, and as I mentioned before, there were already enough vultures with medical degrees who were happy to get rich at the expense of sick people.
Yes, I think you've already made your feelings about doctors very clear, so why don't you tell us about this new area in the field of health maintenance where you saw a need for your skills?
Well, I found that fat people on diets were getting almost no advice at all on choosing their between-meal snacks.
I see. I thought most weight control programs advised against eating between meals, though.
No, not that I know of. I've glanced at several of those fad diet books. It seems they deal exclusively with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They never mention what you should eat the rest of the time.
In other words, they don't offer much guidance on selecting between-meal snacks.
That's right, and believe me, it doesn't do any good to stick with veggies and stuff like that at mealtime if you're going to fill up on chocolate eclairs an hour later.
No, I can see how that would make it hard to lose weight.
Absolutely. Your system doesn't know whether it's mealtime or bedtime. Do you follow me?
Yes, and what you say makes a great deal of sense, nutritionally.
Thank you. I wish more doctors could see the value of my discoveries. You know, they're not as smart as they want their victims to think.
Well, I don't think you need to get back to your feelings about doctors. Let's discuss these amazing discoveries you made in the field of between-meal eating. Now, you already mentioned that chocolate eclairs are a no-no, right?
That's right. They're bad for your teeth. They also contain a lot of those things that make people fat. Now, what do you call those things?
Calories, you mean?
Yeah, calories, that's it. Eclairs are loaded with them. And the interesting thing is that you can fill up between meals with stuff that's not nearly as fattening, like pretzels, for instance.
Well, that's a good thing to know. Pretzels contain fewer calories than chocolate eclairs, right?
That's correct. Potato chips are okay, too, but they're kind of noisy to eat. And that disturbs people around you if you go to one of those health farms where the patients are trying to meditate.
That raises a point. Do you advise overweight people to go to a health farm to get rid of the excess pounds more quickly?
No, that's not necessary. In fact, a health farm is a terrible place. to be if you want to get up and have a snack in the middle of the night. It's usually a long walk from your room to the kitchen.
Yeah, well, being at home is more convenient for middle of the night snacking. I'm sure of that. I guess your nutrition program does permit those, does it?
Only if you eat the right thing. Now, a lot of people are half asleep at 3 a.m., and they'll just eat sugar straight out of the sack rather than prepare something more nutritious.
What do you suggest for those late-night trips to the kitchen?
I like to keep a large box of graham crackers handy myself. They can be eaten dry, or they can be mushed up in milk.
Mm-hmm.
And they contain fewer of those things we were talking about than sugar does.
You're speaking of calories.
That's right. The body doesn't burn those up very fast when you're asleep, so you have to stick with lighter food late at night. Now, if you don't care for graham crackers, then I'd suggest a few slices of plain white bread with butter. That's filling, too.
Well, you've certainly given us some valuable tips, Mr. Fenright, and I do want to thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, and I want to thank you for providing that hoist to bring me up to the studio since I'm a little too heavy to get in the elevator.
Oh, we're glad to be of service. Thanks again. And I hope all you listeners who are striving for a healthier life will join us again soon for another edition of Your Forum for Fitness. Hi, this is Sergeant Ben Royster, and this is your Army Amateur Hour. We're here on the flight deck of the aircraft carrier Flywheel, and I see our first amateurs ready for a try for the coveted Drill Talent Award. The finals to be held at the Army Frogman School at Everglades Field, October 6th. Step up, Captain, and tell us your name.
I'm Seaman Second Class Harley Lester.
I see. And are you stationed on this ship, Captain?
No, I'm on detached service from a torpedo boat. We're alongside the Flywheel for repairs.
Well, just see that you don't set off any of those torpedoes around here, Lieutenant. Now, what talent do you bring to the deck of the Flywheel, mate?
Well, I do an imitation of a tunnel policeman tending to his duties during the day.
And what method do you use to get the hollow-voiced effect we so often associate with tunnels, Captain?
Well, I kind of do it by holding my head in the empty brass casing of a 16-inch shell here.
Well, imitations are always effective, so here he is, pharmacist mate Harley Lester, imitating a tunnel policeman while his head is in an empty shell.
All right. Keep moving. That's right. 15 feet apart. Dim your lights. Keep 15 feet apart. That's it. 15 feet apart. 15 is the magic number here. Crash! All right, let's bring the traffic to a halt. All right, it's nothing serious. We'll all be moving along in a second here. Just as soon as the wrecker shows up, we'll all be moving. And when we do, stay 15 feet apart. 15 feet.
Well, that was mighty fine, Seaman First Class Harley Lester, and it didn't escape me that what you did was more of a vignette than an imitation.
Well, do I make the semifinals, Sergeant?
No, there's a rule against vignettes on this show, but you are eligible for our next show to be held up in Fairbanks. Thank you, Seaman. And now I see our next contestant is here, and my card says it's Vice Admiral Hector Ravenswood Parsley. Did I get that right, mate?
Hardly. No, you see, I'm Vice Admiral Hector Ravenswood Parsley.
All right. Keep it down. Let's get on with the show, sailor. What talent do you have that you think will bring you closer to the coveted Drill Talent Award?
Well, I got this weather balloon from the boys in meteorology last year, and I found that by blowing up the balloon, I could...
Wait a minute. You going to make music from a balloon, mate?
Why, yes.
Oh, that's an old stunt. We like originality on our show, so I doubt you'll even reach the quarterfinals. What tune can you get out of it, mister?
Well, I've been practicing on Smiles. You know the one?
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
Let's get on with it. We don't want to have you up here too long. Right now, here's Hector Parsley playing Smiles on a balloon.
Well, how was that, Sergeant?
They should cancel your pension, Admiral. You may know how to run a boat, but the mysteries of the musical balloon obviously escape you. Go take a dip, Admiral. And now this is Sergeant Ben Royster bidding you goodbye from the flight deck of the Carrier Flywheel. We'll be talking to you next week from Glover Field in Fairbanks, home of the famous 122nd Payroll Financial Section. See you then. And mention my name in Sheboygan as performed by our musical director Paul Talman certainly means something.
Well, it means, Bob, that he's been following directions and is telling us another Bob and Ray show is about over.
We'll get back to the drawing board and start working on another after we just remind you that the program is developed and produced for the Radio Foundation by Larry Josephson, who hasn't yet decided how he voted in the Burger of the Year election.
Associate producer is Laz Howell, whose hobby is designing toboggans. Our sound effects were provided, as usual, by Al Schaefer, and technical director was David Glasser, who's had several nasty encounters with automatic garage door openers.
Engineering assistants Marty Newman, Miles Smith, and Jay Newland. Production assistants Bill O'Neill and Charles Whitson. Our program was recorded at Howard Schwartz Studios in New York.
Howard, incidentally, owns one of the world's largest collections of zoot suits in the United States.
Funding is by a major grant from the National Endowment of the Arts, additional funding from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting through NPR's Satellite Program Development Fund, and from public radio stations.
And now this is Ray Goulding reminding you to write if you get work.
Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumbs.
For a free picture of Bob and Ray, send a stamped self-addressed envelope to Bob and Ray Picture, Box 5000 GPO, New York 10116. Again, send a stamped self-addressed envelope to Bob and Ray Picture, Box 5000 GPO, New York 10116. We regret that we cannot send a picture without a stamped self-addressed envelope. This program was independently produced by the Radio Foundation.